So it's a bit of a weird video, not the kind of thing I usually do. This is my computer, my main PC. I've got a laptop as well, but that's just for just general web browsing and stuff. But this is my main computer that I use to edit videos and do programming and play computer games. And it's fairly old. I made it in 2012. It is a, crumbs, what's that? It's an Intel i5 3570K. It's got the stock cooler on it. I've got 16 gig of RAM, which is Corsair Vengeance RAM. I have a graphics card here, which is a GTX. It's a Zotac 970. That is, God, what are they called? It's an HDMI input device, so it'll capture device, so it'll capture video through there. Got a couple of hard drives, an SSD and a CD-ROM drive. Now, this computer is, let me show you. It's one of these old cream cases, so it's pretty ancient. I think the case comes from about 2000, so it's fairly old now. So it's from my very first PC build, which was an E8-300, if anyone remembers that. It's a dual core machine. Now it's got a Corsair CX500 power supply in it, and hopefully that's good enough. But what I'm doing today is I want to eventually overclock this machine. I was thinking about replacing it and buying a new one. The new i9 chips are out, so they've got like 6 and 8 cores, and they're pretty tempting. However, I'd like to get a couple more years out of this, so I think I'm going to try overclocking. It is the unlocked IC, so it should be able to do that, and the motherboard does support it, but it isn't something I've tried. So first off, I need to get rid of this cooler that's on here. It's incredibly dusty in here. This sits on a carpet, so it picks up a lot of like particulates, I guess. But the stock cooler doesn't do very well with 4K rendering, so it will easily get up to 85 to 90 degrees. Now these chips don't start thermal throttling until, thermal throttling is where it will reduce the clock frequency and so it brings down the power requirements and it cools the chip down. So when it throttles, it does less essentially, so it's not as quick. And I don't want that to happen if I'm going to be doing any overclocking. So I've bought a new cooler, which is this, the Hyper, it's not actually in focus, is it? Roughly. The Hyper TX3i, and it's one of these ones where it's got the Intel easy push mount legs on it. So yeah, quick snap fan bracket design for the LGA 1155, I think it is. Yeah, 1155, I think that's one I've got here. But this should work perfectly. And I've also got some Arctic MX2 thermal compounds. This is non-conductive stuff. And that's to replace the compound that's on there already. So yeah, this hasn't been removed for, God, five years. And it's been going pretty well. I don't see a need to replace it just yet. So I'd like to get a little bit more time out of it. But I need to clean the machine, because that doesn't ever get done. And then I need to remove the cooler. A few of these cables I'll have to move. I don't really care about how pretty my computer is. It doesn't bother me. I suppose it's less likely to get stolen if it's in a yellowed case. And that, yeah, it is kind of horrible. I used to be a smoker a while back, so this is this is some damage from that. But I've kicked that habit now, so don't have to worry about that anymore. But we need to clear it out, and I've got something to do that. Where is the box for it? Ah, I've taken it out of the box already. It is this. It's a CompuCleaner 500 watt spray thing. So I bought some of those cans of spray, but they don't last very long, and you can't hold it down for very long. They're a good, nice blast of air, but they don't seem very good for the environment, and hopefully this is going to be pretty good. So let's have a look at it. Oops. So this is it here. It's pretty cool. It's got several different nozzles you can put on the end. I've got them all out here. So this one's the finest nozzle, and then you've got one that's a little bit wider, a bit longer as well, and one that's sort of a fan, so it spreads the air out. Not going to be easy to see this, and I think, as far as I recall, this makes a lot of noise, so I might just talk over that. Let's have a listen. Oh, I've not plugged it in. Right, try that again. So this should be incredibly loud. It's got a little dust filter on the bottom that's already picked up some stuff. I'm just going to go and get something to cover my face. Probably shouldn't have spun that motor. Will it have generated some electricity? Here goes, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the case a little bit, and we're going to use a brush as well to just get away some of the stuff. So I'll use a little bit of a paintbrush here and there. This will kick up so much dust, and I can feel it in the air as I go round. So I'll also use the paintbrush a bit just to brush off any dust that's lying around, and then I'll get the fan on it again once it's loosened up, and then that will make its way into the air as well, which will be lovely, I'm sure. Now, one of the things this computer is used for is video editing and gaming. Both of those things are pretty GPU and CPU intensive, especially since for video editing I use the Adobe suite, so that's the Adobe Premiere, and it uses acceleration via CUDA, and that is through the graphics card. So while the graphics card is, the cooling's fine, and the cooling's fine in the CPU, when the whole sort of enclosure heats up, then cooling is less efficient. And as you can probably tell, this isn't a very good case. It's not one that was built for a powerful computer in mind, so cooling in it isn't particularly good. The airflow is bad, so it needs every little bit of help it can get, really. We need to get the fan controller out. Does that just pull? Yeah. And then we've got, I mean, this isn't a tutorial by any means. I just thought you might want to see what my setup is. But we just want to take this off. So unhook these. And then we're just going to lift it off, hopefully. Although it's been on there for 5 years, so I don't know whether the thermal paste that's on there will have turned into some horrible muck. Well, it isn't thermal paste anymore. Let's have a little closer look at that. So that is solid. So that probably didn't help with the cooling at all. I'm going to clean this off of the CPU. Let's zoom in a little bit, shall we? So I'm going to clean it off the CPU. I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol. It's quite a lot on there. But I think probably my temperatures would have been better had I replaced this stuff sooner. I might not even need a new cooler. However, I've bought it now, so I may as well. And that is nice and clean. I haven't seen you for 5 years. There we go. We might as well clean up the stock cooler as well. Just bring it back to its old glory. Now, I had to look up how to do this because it's not something I've ever done. And no, that's a lie. I put the stock cooler on, but it was 5 years ago and I can't really remember. So, a long time ago. So we've got this fan. I'm not going to go into loads of detail because it's very specific to my situation. But it's a lot larger than the stock fan, so I don't even know if it's going to fit. It has a different design too, so you can see here, these are heat pipes and they run into this big aluminium block here, and they take the heat away from the CPU. So this is the Intel one, and this is the Cooler Master? Yeah, Cooler Master one. So this one has a large block here that transfers it into this little bit of heatsink. And then this one's got 3 large heat pipes, so hopefully it's better. Sorry about the camera position here. My tripod is not super great at all this stuff, so it's just going to have to be the way it is. Right, I think that's probably enough cable. I probably won't need to mess around with it. So I want air to be pulled along here, I think. So it'll sit like that. Oh, my memory is a bit in the way there. Is that going to be an issue? It has to go the same direction as the other fan. So if I just zoom out a little bit, you'll see. So the other fan has a label here, which means it pulls air across this way. So it goes that way through the case. And ideally, I'd like this one to do the same. We could switch the fan around so it was on the back there. But I think we're probably okay. It's not really interfering with the RAM. It's just sort of, is it? I don't think it's going to fit with the RAM. We'll have to switch the fan around. Well, I can't for the life of me get these blooming screws in. So I've sort of stripped these screws. The metal's pretty soft, so I'm trying to use, I've used a crosshead and a flathead screwdriver, and I've done it with 2 of these, and I've really tried, but completely failed to be able to put this on the other side. So we're going to give up, and we're just going to have it sit very close to the fan, so never mind. Right, so I believe I put a pea-sized blob on. Oh, crumbs. Okay, let's give that a go. Pea-sized, in fact, I've got lots of this stuff, so let's practice on something else. This rail card would be a good one to practice on. Oh, it's very... Okay. That's probably enough, he says. We'll soon find out. Now, this is going on exactly the same way that I didn't want to put it in, but that's fine. Right, I think that's done. He says, I'm so unsure about what I've done here. We'll see if the computer blows up. If it does, it gives me an excuse to buy a new one, I guess. So the fan sits slightly proud of this cooler, sorry, of the heatsink, but I'm not overly worried about that. And I just need to plug this CPU fan in. There's that plugged in. And I think I unplugged some other things. Okay. Hopefully that is done. Let's go plug it in and we'll see what the temperatures are like, shall we? I'll show you a screenshot of what it was like before. I mean, it might all go horribly wrong, which you guys will enjoy, no doubt. So it works, thankfully. I was worried because I haven't done that kind of rig of cooler for a very long time. I wasn't sure which way to turn the things, and the instructions weren't very clear. Anyway, or I'm an idiot. It's probably one of those. However, this is 10 minutes. So this was a screenshot from before I changed the cooler over. So this is 10 minutes into rendering, and you can see we're like right up into the 80s, pushing 90, and it meant I can't do anything else. So it's just hot, and it means it pushes up the system temperature as well. So if it's doing a lot of GPU stuff, then it gets hotter too. It's only 36 degrees down here on the GPU. It's only at 14% at this point in the rendering process. So I don't really know if it was using a lot of the cores, CUDA cores, but yeah, so we are, what is this? Oh, okay. I don't want to do that. Yeah, that's our starting point. And then idle is this. This is idle temperatures 46, 48, 40, 46, 49. So this is when the CPU is doing nothing and hasn't been doing anything for a while. So I just let it sit there for a while and then recorded the idle temperatures. So now I've got a tool just here that tells me what the idle temperatures are. So idle at the moment is around 40. So if I just bring that folder back up actually. So idle temperatures, well actually it's not idle, is it? Hang on, I'll stop the video and we'll come back because it's recording, so it isn't idle. So after leaving it to go idle for a while, I took a screenshot and our temperatures are down to 37 degrees and what's that, an average of like 35 degrees roughly, which in comparison to our previous ones, 46, 48, so an average of what, 44 degrees probably, something like that. So we've improved by about 10 degrees, which is great. And then we've got the render, so this is on the old process, old cooler. And then this is the new one. So 83, 88, 85, 84, 89. And then we've got 52, 56, 49, 54, 56. So the temperatures are well down there, which is great. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I know it's a bit of a weird, stupid video, isn't it? Me just saying, hey, do you know what? Get a new cooler and then it'll make everything cooler. But it does. And now I'm going to look at overclocking. So if anyone's got any advice on overclocking, that'd be good to hear. I think it's a Z270 motherboard or something like that. So I will look into it. But next, this week, I think actually, I will be not prototyping, I'm going to be using Eagle to design up the binary clock kit. And we'll send one off to get fabricated and then put it together and see if it works. And if it does, then I'll get more made and then put them on Etsy. Etsy, is it? Or Etsy? Or Tindy? It's probably Tindy. Yeah, it is. All right, well, this was a big waste of time, wasn't it? All right, I'll speak to you soon.